Hey, folks, welcome to our very first Matt Chandler show. Uh, just bear with us through the kinks and stumbles as we try to get our feet under us on this one. I'm your host, Logan Hall, and with me is head football coach Matt Chandler. Coach, last week you won 46-14 with a strong second half, outscoring Montgomery County 33-0. Uh, when you walk into the locker room at halftime after a game, after a first half like that, uh, what do you do and what do you say to pump up your guys for a strong second half?
Last week we really didn't. There weren't a ton of adjustments, and there wasn't a ton of motivating them. It was really just kind of stay calm and keep doing what we're doing. We had the turnovers. We shot ourselves in the foot a few times, but we were playing with a really good effort. So I just wanted them to be locked in on just keep doing what you're doing. We spent a lot of time in pregame talking about mental toughness, being able to weather the storm on the road in a big game, and we just tried to make sure that they knew if they continued to work the way they were working, things were eventually going to go our way. And we'd stop shooting ourselves in the foot, and the scoreboard would take care of itself.
Now, you got a couple of young guys here. You got a sophomore in William Shoptaw, a new starter at quarterback who threw for 296 yards on 24 out of 33 passes for 3 touchdowns. And you got a freshman guy, new guy, Preston Hall, carried the ball 21 times for 106 yards with another 3 touchdowns. Uh, what kind of work have those guys put in at practice or in the off season to make you trust them in your high-powered offense?
Well, Shoptaw has just been. I mean, the kid works. He's got Division I potential, and the biggest reason why he has Division I potential beyond the way he throws the football and the way that he plays is his work ethic. Last night, before I left the field house after our team meal, he's out there with a headset on, reading the script and walking through on a field by himself with a football all the calls that we have on the game plan sheet and all of the motions and all the shifts and the formations and making all of those throws. And that's just the kind of kid he is. He's so locked in on being great that all of those numbers and the wins are going to take care of themselves. Preston Hall is another kid that barely missed any time in the weight room. Was there every morning at 6:30 to get stronger, and we told him, we said, you can have an impact almost immediately as a freshman if you use the winter and the summer to get there, strength wise and maturity wise. And he's done that. He's just, there's nothing flashy about Preston when he runs the football. He just puts his head down, trusts his O line, and gets it done.
You gotta love kids that put in the effort, don't
Oh
you?
man, and we've got this group can be so special because there's a team full of them. And last year was a good start in changing the culture, and now the standard is that that's what you do. It's not the guys that work that hard aren't outliers. They're the standard within our program.
Now, today, Coach, you travel to Whitley County to take on the Colonels. They're coming off a 34-22 win against Knox Central. Uh, they've got a really strong run game with the Beard, and knowing they've got a kid that's a senior that can put up 384 yards last week. What does practice look like in preparation for that, and what does the defense need to do to slow them down?
Yeah, D. Parker is the running back that you mentioned, and man, he's on film is just so explosive. Um, they'll get in the gun some with a H back, sniffer back type, like kind of what we do with JV on some, but for the most part, it's flex bone, tackle over, tight end stuff. And he hits it on veer or trap out of that stuff, and he hits a seam and he's gone. It's super impressive. Um, and outside of the big plays, it's the other, you know, 24 carries is dragging people 4, 5, 6 yards.
Yeah.
So a lot of this week has just been focused on uh, making sure that we pursue the football. We know he's going to break some runs because he's just a super talented kid. We want to keep those from being touchdown runs uh, and big plays. And as far as the Veer stuff, we've just been a lot of option responsibilities. We spent a lot of time on Monday. Coach Martin, our defensive coordinator, and our defensive staff has put together a really good plan for not an easy offense to stop. We've spent a lot of time walking through option responsibilities, making sure that guys know you have to do your job. You can't be worried about anything else. If you've got dive, you've got dive. If you've got pitch, you've got pitch. If you've got quarterback, you've got quarterback. And trust your teammates uh, to take care of their responsibilities. But overall, it's been a good week. I think we were very much locked in the last 2 days, especially on defense.
So it'll be a big day for your D ends and your
Yep.
outside
Oh yeah.
linebackers play outside in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the biggest challenge D line wise is because they run so much trap with the veer stuff.
Yeah.
Is you get released and you squeeze down and you've either got to tackle the dive or you've got somebody coming to kick you out. And it's a big challenge for those guys. And the biggest challenge for our linebackers is really mentally, Race Linden and Jackson Deaton, and especially Race to get those guys lined up. Because if you're misaligned, uh, they're going to see it. And if you get away with it once, they're going to get on the headset and say, hey, they've got a guy misaligned. There's a bubble here, and they'll run it right at the bubble. So big week mentally and physically for those guys in the box.
Speaking of Race, he led you guys in tackles
He
last
did.
week, didn't he? Had a
Yeah.
great game.
Death taxes and Race Linden making a bunch of tackles. It's about,
Yeah.
Coach Reese Fletcher is going to be really nervous if he keeps doing that because he'll break that tackles record that Reese has by the end of the year. But no, Race is I mean, we joke and we call him Papaw and old man because he'll come off the field and kind of be, on my back, my knee, whatever. But when it comes game day, man, he's ready to rock. And he does a lot for our football team as far as leading the defense and leading the team as a whole. And when your best players are your best leaders like that, you got something special.
It's awesome. He's a great kid.
Oh, yeah.
Now, offensively, passed the ball well. You ran the ball well last week. What kind of defense may Whitley County bring that maybe worries you, or what does your offense have to do to get by them and stay consistent in their scoring?
So they play an odd front and they play some odd stack. They played some odd stack against Southwestern. So they're going to have 6 guys in the box. So they'll feel good about being able to stop the run with those 6 guys. And they do some things coverage wise where they'll disguise coverage as pre-snap and it'll look like one thing and then be another.
Yeah.
Our biggest thing offensively is we just got to be able to get the ball to our athletes in space. We've got
And you got great
we've
athletes.
got great athletes.
Yeah.
You got Javion and Connor and Gavin and Corbin Fletcher, who scored the first touchdown of the year last week. And those guys are so explosive. It really stresses the defense. And then, we got Max Kilburn, who comes in as our 5th receiver when we go empty. And, we had some stuff in the game plan for him last week that he ended up not being involved. So we carried that over for this week. So he's got to rep that more and get more comfortable. I'd expect to see him get some touches and make an impact this week too. So really, consistency up front and getting the ball out in space, and I think we'll be okay.
Max is another young guy. He's a freshman of yours, right?
Yep.
Really good kicker.
Really good kicker. He made 4 extra points last week, and he missed 2 and was really down on himself. And I said, you don't understand. We made 4 extra points like all year last year. I'm elated that you made 4 extra points.
Now, for a final question here, Coach, we went around and asked some of the students what they'd like to know from you, or what they'd like to hear from a head coach like yourself. A lot of them wanted to know what kind of pregame rituals or anything you guys do differently than maybe some of the other teams don't.
We like to take some time. We'll do, we always do a walkthrough on game day, really brief 5 or 10 minute, checking to make sure everybody knows who's on what special teams and going over the game plan stuff. We try to keep a pretty consistent routine and just make sure that mentally we're where we need to be. As far as my pregame routines, I really don't have a ton. Normally anxious, nervous wreck. Too much to remember what my routine is. But, we got a lot of different guys who do a lot of different things. We got some guys that'll listen to music and some guys that won't, and some guys that'll be really quiet on the bus ride and some guys that, are more relaxed and loose. But it's a really good mixture and our guys kind of put all of those things together to make for a pretty cool pregame.
So in other words, not a very superstitious team, are you?
No, like Michael Scott said on The Office, I'm not superstitious. I'm just a little stitious. Like there's 1 or 2 little things that'll pop into my head, and I'm like, oh, I did this last week. I got to do it again this week. But for the most part, no.
Well, thank you, Coach, and thank you guys. This has been the Matt Chandler Show. We appreciate you watching.